Welcome. For professional exam preparation, tutoring, and study guides, scan the QR code or save the contact information shown on screen. Question 1. How should security analysts protect confidentiality when a regional clinic shares regulated reports with a contractor? A. Send the files through an unsigned public link. B. Publish the files on an internal wiki. C. Encrypt the files and restrict access to authorized recipients. D. Store the files without permissions for faster access. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Encrypt the files and restrict access to authorized recipients. Encryption and access control reduce the chance that sensitive data is viewed by unauthorized users. Open sharing, weak permissions, and public links expose the data instead of protecting confidentiality. Question 2. Which control best supports integrity when a payment processor needs proof that a downloaded firmware image was not altered? A. Compare the vendor-provided hash with the downloaded file hash. B. Rename the firmware file after download. C. Disable logging during the firmware upgrade. Decompress the firmware before installation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Compare the vendor-provided hash with the downloaded file hash. A cryptographic hash changes when the file changes, making it useful for validating integrity. Compression, renaming, and disabling logs do not prove that the file contents remained unchanged. Need help preparing for your exam? Scan the QR code or contact us on WhatsApp at +1 716 356 9126. You can also email remote.exam01@gmail.com for professional tutoring and study guides. Question 3. Why would a school district deploy redundant power and clustering for the database cluster? A. To make stored data anonymous. B. To improve availability during component failures. C. To remove the need for authentication. D. To replace incident response planning. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. To improve availability during component failures. Redundancy allows a service to continue operating when a single component fails. Authentication, anonymization, and incident response address different security goals and do not directly provide high availability. Question 4. When a logistics company needs proof that an administrator approved a critical change, which mechanism is strongest? A. A shared administrator password. B. A verbal approval with no record. C. A deleted change ticket. D. A digitally signed approval record. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. A digitally signed approval record. Digital signatures support non-repudiation because they bind approval to a specific signer and protect the record from undetected modification. Shared passwords, verbal approval, and deleted records weaken accountability. Question 5. A help desk at a cloud startup must distinguish authentication from authorization. Which statement is accurate? A. Authorization proves a user's identity with a password. B. Authentication assigns file permissions after login. C. Authentication verifies identity, while authorization determines allowed actions. D. Authorization replaces logging for privileged accounts. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Authentication verifies identity, while authorization determines allowed actions. Authentication answers who the user is, and authorization answers what the verified user may access. Permissions alone do not verify identity. Passwords are authentication factors, and logging remains part of accountability. Question 6. During a zero-trust rollout for a manufacturing plant, which design principle should guide access to the production subnet? A. Continuously verify identity, device posture, and context before allowing access. B. Trust all users once they are on the corporate network. C. Place every system on one flat internal VLAN. D. Disable MFA to reduce login friction. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Continuously verify identity, device posture, and context before allowing access. Zero Trust assumes no implicit trust and evaluates access requests based on verified signals. Network location alone, weaker authentication, and flat segmentation conflict with Zero Trust principles. Question 7. Which example is a preventive technical control for a legal office's customer portal? A policy document stored in the HR portal. B. A firewall rule that blocks unauthorized inbound traffic. C. A CCTV recording reviewed after theft. D. A weekly executive risk report. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. A firewall rule that blocks unauthorized inbound traffic. A firewall rule can technically prevent unwanted traffic before it reaches the service. Reports, recordings, and policy documents are useful, but they do not directly prevent traffic at the technical boundary. Question 8. After suspicious activity appears in a managed service provider's logs, which control acts primarily as detective? A. SIEM correlation that alerts on abnormal events. B. Disk encryption on laptops. C. A door badge reader that controls entry. D. A password complexity policy. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. SIEM correlation that alerts on abnormal events. SIEM alerting identifies and reports events that may require investigation. Encryption, badge access, and password policy are mainly protective or preventive rather than detective. Question 9. If the retail chain cannot immediately replace a legacy system, which approach is a compensating control? A. Place the system on an isolated VLAN with strict firewall rules. B. Give all users local administrator rights. C. Ignore the weakness until the next budget cycle. D. Disable backups to reduce system load. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Place the system on an isolated VLAN with strict firewall rules. A compensating control reduces risk when the preferred control cannot be implemented right away. Ignoring the issue, expanding privileges, and disabling backups increase operational and security exposure. Question 10. Which item is a directive control during a city agency security awareness program? A honeypot collecting attacker behavior. B. A backup server replicating data. C. A written policy requiring users to report suspected phishing. D. ANIPS blocking malicious traffic. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. A written policy requiring users to report suspected phishing. Directive controls tell people what actions or behavior are required. IPS, honeypots, and backups are technical controls that detect, deceive, or recover rather than direct behavior. Question 11. Why might a research lab deploy honeypot inside a monitored lab network? A. To guarantee malware cannot enter the network. B. To replace all endpoint protection tools. C. To observe attacker behavior against a decoy system. D. To store production credentials for faster login. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. To observe attacker behavior against a decoy system. A honeypot is a deception technology that attracts or monitors suspicious activity in a controlled environment. It should not contain real credentials, replace layered defenses, or be treated as a guarantee against malware. Question 12. Before changing firewall rules for an insurance firm's production subnet, which change management item is most important? A. Immediate production changes without review. B. An informal chat message with no ticket. C. A password reset for every employee. D. Documented approval, testing plan, rollback plan, and implementation window. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Documented approval, testing plan, rollback plan, and implementation window. Formal change management reduces outage and security risk by requiring review, testing, scheduling, and rollback planning. Informal approval, unreviewed production changes, and unrelated password resets do not control the change safely. Question 13. During a software release at a hospital network, which practice best supports accountability for configuration changes? A. Store final scripts only on one administrator's laptop. B. Use version control with commit history and reviewed pull requests. C. Remove comments and history from every script. D. Share one generic deployment account. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use version control with commit history and reviewed pull requests. Version control preserves change history and associates updates with identifiable contributors and reviewers. Single device storage. Question 14. Which PKI component lets a university department's browsers verify that a server certificate changed to a trusted issuer? A. Certificate. The answer is A. Certificate authority. A certificate authority issues and signs certificates that clients can validate through a trust chain. Access points, broadcast domains, and packet sniffers do not establish certificate trust. Question 15. How does asymmetric encryption help a financial services team exchange data securely with external partners? A. It uses a public key and a private key for encryption-related operations. B. It uses one shared password for every partner. C. It removes the need for certificate validation. D. It stores all private keys in DNS records. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. It uses a public key and a private key for encryption-related operations. Asymmetric cryptography uses key pairs, allowing secure exchange and verification without sharing the private key, shared passwords, skipped validation, and public storage of private keys weaken trust and confidentiality. Question 16. Which method should a remote sales group use to store user passwords more safely? A. Reversible encryption with the key beside the database. B. Salted and slow cryptographic password hashing. C. Plain text storage in a protected spreadsheet. D. Base 64 encoding before saving the password. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Salted and slow cryptographic password hashing. Salting and slow password hashing make password cracking more difficult if the database is stolen. Plain text, poorly managed reversible encryption, and encoding do not provide appropriate password storage protection. Question 17. Why is a unique salt added before hashing passwords for a data analytics unit's account database? A. It allows administrators to recover forgotten passwords. B. It prevents identical passwords from producing identical stored hashes. C. It replaces the need for MFA. D. It turns a hash into reversible encryption. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. It prevents identical passwords from producing identical stored hashes. A salt makes pre-computed hash attacks and duplicate password identification less effective. Salting does not enable recovery, replace MFA, or make a hash reversible. Question 18. Which cryptographic feature should a software company use to verify both message integrity and sender authenticity? A. Guest VLAN. B. Screen lock timer. C. Digital signature. D. Load balancer. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Digital signature. A digital signature validates that the message was signed by the private key holder and has not changed. A. VLAN, load balancer, and screen lock do not provide cryptographic proof of sender and content integrity. Question 19. When a call center wants to process payments without storing actual card numbers, which technique is most appropriate? A. Password spraying. B. Screen sharing. C. Tokenization. D. Port forwarding. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Tokenization. Tokenization replaces sensitive values with tokens that have limited meaning outside the payment system. Screen sharing and port forwarding do not reduce stored payment data exposure, while password spraying is an attack. Question 20. For a training screenshot at a distribution warehouse, which method hides sensitive fields while preserving the document format? A. Open relay configuration. B. Data masking. C. ARP spoofing. D. Tailgating. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Data masking. Data masking conceals sensitive values while keeping realistic structure for training or testing. ARP spoofing, open relays, and tailgating are security risks, not privacy-preserving data handling methods. Question 21. After a regional clinic's file shares are encrypted and a payment note appears, which first response is most appropriate? A. Isolate affected systems and preserve evidence before recovery. B. Pay immediately without validating backups. C. Delete all logs to free disk space. D. Reconnect infected hosts to verify spread. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Isolate affected systems and preserve evidence for recovery. Isolation limits further ransomware impact, while evidence preservation supports investigation and recovery decisions. Immediate payment, log deletion, and reconnecting infected hosts can worsen the incident or destroy useful evidence. Question 22. A user at a payment processor receives an email urging immediate password verification through a lookalike login page. Which attack is most likely? A. Bluejacking, B. Phishing, C. Smurf attack, D. Port scanning. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Phishing. Phishing uses deceptive messages and spoof pages to trick users into giving up credentials or sensitive information. Bluejacking, Smurf attacks, and port scanning describe different technical activities. Question 23. Which clue best indicates spear phishing against an executive at a school district? A. A routine patch notification from the approved portal. B. A blocked inbound ping from a scanner. C. A broadcast outage affecting all switches. D. A highly personalized email referencing a real project and asking for urgent action. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. A highly personalized email referencing a real project and asking for urgent action. Spear phishing targets a specific person or role using tailored details to increase credibility. Outages, valid patch notices, and blocked pings do not indicate a personalized social engineering attempt. Question 24. During a phone call, an attacker claims to be at support and asks a user at a logistics company for an MFA code. Which term fits best? A. Smishing, B. DNS tunneling, C. Vishing, D. Pretexting through USB. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Vishing. Vishing is voice-based social engineering that uses phone calls to manipulate victims. Smishing uses text messages. USB pretexting is not the best label here, and DNS tunneling is a network technique. Question 25. If employees at a cloud startup receive text messages linking to fake payroll login, which threat vector is being used? A. Smishing, B. War driving, C. VLAN hopping, D. Password salting. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Smishing. Smishing is phishing delivered through SMS or text messaging. VLAN hopping and war driving are network attacks, while password salting is a defensive storage technique. Question 26. Which action best reduces supply chain risk before a manufacturing plant adopts a new software vendor? A. Disable software updates permanently. B. Review the vendor's security controls, update process, and contractual obligations. C. Use the vendor's default admin password. D. Skip vendor review because the product is popular. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Review the vendor security controls, update process, and contractual obligations. Vendor assessment helps identify risks introduced by third-party software and support processes. Popularity, default credentials, and disabled updates leave supply chain weaknesses unmanaged. Question 27. How can a legal office better detect a trusted employee abusing access to the database cluster? A. Give the employee additional shared accounts. B. Disable all logging for privacy. C. Move the asset to public internet access. D. Monitor behavior for anomalous activity tied to the user's normal baseline. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Monitor behavior for anomalous activity tied to the user's normal baseline. User and entity behavior analytics can reveal insider activity that differs from expected patterns. Reduced logging, shared accounts, and public exposure make abuse harder to detect and contain. Question 28. When staff at a managed service provider use an unsanctioned file sharing app for customer records, which issue is present? A. Certificate pinning. B. Immutable backup. C. Network tap. D. Shadow it. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Shadow it. Shadow it occurs when users adopt technology without organizational approval or governance. Certificate pinning, immutable backups, and network taps describe approved technical mechanisms, not unsanctioned service use. Question 29. Which attack uses stolen username password pairs from one breach to try logins at a retail chain's portal? A. Credential stuffing. B. Authentication flood. C. DNS zone transfer. D. Birthday attack. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Credential stuffing. Credential stuffing relies on reused credentials from other breaches to gain access to different services. Birthday attacks target hash collisions. Zone transfers expose DNS data. And authentication floods target wireless availability. Question 30. An attacker tries a few common passwords against many accounts at a city agency. Which attack is most likely? A. Pass the ticket. B. SQL injection. C. Password spraying. D. MAC filtering. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Password spraying. Password spraying avoids rapid lockout by testing common passwords across many accounts. Pass the ticket abuses Kerberos tickets. SQL injection targets applications. And MAC filtering is a weak access control method. Question 31. After obtaining an NTLM hash at a research lab, an attacker authenticates without knowing the plaintext password. Which attack is shown? A. Key stretching. B. ARP inspection. C. Pass the hash. D. Rainbow table prevention. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Pass the hash. Pass the hash uses captured password hashes as authentication material in compatible environments. ARP inspection and key stretching are defenses, while rainbow table prevention describes a protection goal, not the attack. Question 32. Which control most directly reduces risk from stolen passwords at an insurance firm's remote access portal? A. A larger wireless channel width. B. A longer DHCP leases. C. A public file share. D. Multi-factor authentication. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Multi-factor authentication. MFA requires another proof beyond the password, reducing the usefulness of stolen credentials. DHCP leases, channel width, and public sharing do not strengthen authentication. Question 33. A web form at a hospital network concatenates user input into SQL queries. Which secure coding practice is best? A. Use parameterized queries. B. Allow every character without validation. C. Run the database as a domain administrator. D. Hide error messages only after deployment. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Use parameterized queries. Parameterized queries separate code from user supply data, reducing SQL injection risk, unrestricted input, superficial error hiding, and excessive database privileges leave the application exposed. Question 34. Which defense best reduces reflected script execution in a university department's web application? A. Output encoding and input validation. B. Static routing only. C. Open SNMP community strings. D. Disabling backups. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Output encoding and input validation. Cross-site scripting risk is reduced when entrusted input is validated and safely encoded before rendering. SNMP strings, static routing, and disabled backups do not address browser script injection. Question 35. How should a financial services team protect a state-changing web request from forged browser submissions? A. Move the server to a larger subnet. B. Require users to clear browser history daily. C. Use anti-CSRF tokens tied to the user session. D. Increase the DNS TTL. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is you use anti-CSRF tokens tied to the user session. Anti-CSRF tokens help verify that a request came from the legitimate application flow. DNS TTL, subnet size, and browser history clearing do not validate request intent. Question 36. A cloud app at a remote sales group can be tricked into requesting the metadata service URL. Which vulnerability is most likely? A. LDAP signing. B. MAC flooding. C. Server-side request forgery. D. Data tokenization. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Server-side request forgery. SSRF causes a server to make unintended requests, often to internal or metadata endpoints. MAC flooding targets switches. LDAP signing is a protection, and tokenization is a data protection method. Question 37. Which control best reduces path traversal in a data analytics unit's file download feature? A. Use shared local administrator accounts. B. Normalize and validate file paths against an allowed directory. C. Place database backups in the web root. D. Disable TLS on the site. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Normalize and validate file paths against an allowed directory. Path validation prevents requests such as parent directory traversal from reaching unauthorized files. Disabling TLS, exposing backups, and shared admin accounts create additional security problems. Question 38. For a legacy application at a software company, which feature helps reduce buffer overflow exploitation? A. Address space layout randomization and data execution prevention. B. A longer DHCP release times. C. A flat network topology. D. Larger email attachments. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Address space layout randomization and data execution prevention. ASLR and department make memory exploitation harder by randomizing locations and preventing execution in data regions. Attachment size, flat networks, and DHCP releases do not mitigate memory corruption. Question 39. A public site for a call center is overwhelmed by traffic from thousands of sources. Which mitigation is strongest? A. Move all backups to the web server. B. Use DDoS scrubbing or CDN-based protection. C. Publish database credentials for transparency. D. Disable MFA for administrators. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use DDoS scrubbing or CDN-based protection. DDoS protection absorbs or filters large attack traffic before it reaches the origin service. Weakening administration and exposing credentials or backups increases risk without addressing traffic volume. Question 40. Which control helps prevent an on-path attacker from reading credentials to distribution warehouses portal? A. Allow expired certificates. B. Use plain HTTP for faster loading. C. Share a single account for all users. D. Enforce modern TLS with certificate validation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Enforce modern TLS with certificate validation. TLS with valid certificates encrypts traffic and helps clients verify the server identity. Plain HTTP, expired certificates, and shared accounts make credential interception or misuse more likely. Question 41. An attacker on a regional clinic's LAN sends fake ARP replies to intercept traffic. Which protection is relevant? A. Data masking. B. Password history. C. Dynamic ARP inspection. D. Email journaling. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Dynamic ARP inspection. Dynamic ARP inspection helps block malicious ARP responses based on trusted bindings. Email journaling, masking, and password history do not validate ARP traffic. Question 42. Which measure helps reduce DNS cache poisoning risk for a payment processor? A. Disable endpoint logging. B. Reuse default router passwords. C. Route all traffic through Telnet. D. Use secure DNS practices such as DNS SEC validation and patch resolvers. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Use secure DNS practices such as DNS SEC validation and patch resolvers. DNS SEC validation and maintained resolvers help detect or prevent forged DNS data. Less logging, default passwords, and Telnet weaken security and do not protect DNS integrity. Question 43. A user at a school district joins a fake Wi-Fi network imitating the office SSID. Which attack is most likely? A. Directory traversal. B. Evil Twin. C. Blue Team exercise. D. Logic bomb. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Evil Twin. An evil twin is a rogue wireless network made to look legitimate so users connect to it. Logic bombs and traversal attacks are different threats, while a blue team exercises defensive. Question 44. Which step helps a logistics company find unauthorized wireless access points? A. Use only shared local accounts. B. Disable all switch logs. C. Increase password reuse. D. Perform wireless scans and compare findings to the approved inventory. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Perform wireless scans and compare findings to the approved inventory. Wireless scanning detects access points that are not part of the approved environment. Reduced logging, shared accounts, and password reuse make rogue devices and abuse harder to control. Question 45. A workstation at a cloud startup shows kernel-level persistence after malware removal attempts. Which response is safest? A. Trust the same infected operating system to clean itself. B. Reimage the system from trusted media after preserving evidence. C. Add the malware folder to antivirus exclusions. D. Give the user domain admin rights. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Reimage the system from trusted media after preserving evidence. Rootkit-like persistence can hide from normal tools, so trusted reimaging provides a cleaner recovery path. Self-cleaning from the infected OS, antivirus exclusions, and extra privileges increase risk. Question 46. Which tool category helps a manufacturing plant detect suspicious process behavior across endpoints? A. Analog modem. B. Label printer. C. Cable donor only. D. Endpoint detection and response. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Endpoint detection and response. EDR monitors endpoint activity and can detect, investigate, and respond to suspicious behavior. Modems, label printers, and cable donors do not provide endpoint behavioral security monitoring. Question 47. How should a legal office reduce risk from a critical vulnerability with active exploitation? A. Disable vulnerability reporting. B. Patch only systems with no network access. C. Prioritize patching or mitigation based on severity, exposure, and exploitability. D. Delay action until every low-risk issue is closed. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Prioritize patching or mitigation based on severity, exposure, and exploitability. Risk-based prioritization focuses remediation on flaws most likely to be exploited and most damaging. Low-risk first patching, isolated only patching, and disabled reporting failed to address urgent exposure. Question 48. Which practice best hardens a new server image for a managed service provider? A. Turn off audit logging permanently. B. Install every optional service by default. C. Apply a secure baseline that disables unnecessary services and enforces approved settings. D. Leave vendor credentials unchanged. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Apply a secure baseline that disables unnecessary services and enforces approved settings. Hardening reduces attack surface by removing unnecessary functions and enforcing secure configuration. Extra services, default credentials, and disabled audit logs increase compromise and investigation risk. Question 49. Which access model should a retail chain apply to reduce unnecessary privileges on the customer portal? A. Shared ownership for all files. B. Open relay. C. Implicit trust. D. Least privilege. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Least privilege. Least privilege gives users and services only the access needed for their roles. Implicit trust, open relays, and broad shared ownership increase access beyond business need. Question 50. Why should a city agency separate guest Wi-Fi from internal systems? A. It guarantees all guests are malware-free. B. It removes the need for encryption. C. It lets guests administer domain controllers. D. Segmentation limits what guest devices can reach. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Segmentation limits what guest devices can reach. Segmentation creates boundaries that reduce lateral movement and protect internal resources. It does not prevent endpoint health, replace encryption, or justify administrative access. Need help preparing for your exam? Scan the QR code or contact us on WhatsApp at +1 716 356 9126. You can also email remote.exam01@mail.com for professional tutoring and study guides. Question 51. After malware is detected on a laptop at a research lab, which immediate containment step is appropriate? A. Connect it to every file share for testing. B. Quarantine the device from. The answer is B. Quarantine the device from the network. Quarantine reduces the chance of spread while investigators determine scope and impact. Broad reconnection, disabled tools, and moving executables into production increase exposure. Question 52. Which vulnerabilities can type gives an insurance firm deeper configuration findings on authenticated servers? A. Uncredentialed external ping only. B. Phishing simulation only. C. Credentialed scan. D. Screen capture scan. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Credentialed scan. Credentialed scanning can inspect installed software, patches, and configuration settings from inside the host. Ping-only tests, screenshots, and phishing exercises do not provide the same host-level vulnerability detail. Question 53. How should a hospital network prioritize two vulnerabilities when one has active exploitation and internet exposure? A. Address the actively exploited internet-facing vulnerability first. B. Fix alphabetically by system name. C. Ignore exploit intelligence. D. Patch only systems with the lowest business value. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Address the actively exploited internet-facing vulnerability first. Exploit activity and exposure increase likelihood, so they should strongly influence remediation priority. Alphabetical order, ignoring intelligence, and low-value only patching do not reflect risk. Question 54. When a scanner flags a service that is intentionally blocked by compensating controls, what should a university department do? A. Validate and document whether the finding is a false positive or accepted risk. B. Assume all findings are always exploitable. C. Disable every control around the service. D. Delete the scanner report without review. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Validate and document whether the finding is a false positive or accepted risk. Validation separates true risk from inaccurate or context-limited findings and supports defensible tracking, deleting reports, weakening controls, and assuming exploitability without analysis reduce program quality. Question 55. Which control best protects a financial services team's public web app from common HTTP layer attacks? A. Unmanaged hub. B. Analog phone splitter. C. Web application firewall. D. Plain FTP server. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Web application firewall. A. WAF can inspect web requests and block patterns associated with attacks such as injection or cross-site scripting. Phone splitters, hubs, and FTP servers do not provide HTTP application layer protection. Question 56. Which tool should a remote sales group use to detect sensitive customer records leaving through email or uploads? A. Data loss prevention. B. Wake on LAN. C. Jumbo frames. D. DNS round robin only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Data loss prevention. DLP identifies and can block unauthorized movement of sensitive information. Wake on LAN, DNS balancing, and frame size changes do not inspect sensitive content for exfiltration. Question 57. How can a data analytics unit govern cloud app use and enforce policy between users and SaaS platforms? A. Open guest account. B. Cloud access security broker. C. Serial console cable. D. An encrypted telnet. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Cloud access security broker. ACASB provides visibility and policy enforcement for cloud service usage. Console cables, telnet, and guest accounts do not govern SaaS access or data controls. Question 58. Which control checks device posture before allowing systems onto a software company's internal network? A. Network access control. B. Public DNS recursion. C. Unlock server rack. D. Default printer sharing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Network access control. NAC can evaluate identity, compliance, and device health before granting network access. Open recursion, printer sharing, and unlock racks do not enforce endpoint admission policy. Question 59. Which firewall approach should a call center use for a sensitive subnet with no stated business need for inbound access? A. Disable role logging permanently. B. Allow all traffic and investigate later. C. Default deny with explicit allow rules. D. Permit any source to any destination. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Default deny with explicit allow rules. Default deny limits access to documented and approved flows only. Open rules and disabled logging expand attack paths and reduce visibility. Question 60. Which technology can actively block suspicious network traffic in line for a distribution warehouse? A. Paper asset register. B. Intrusion prevention system. C. Cable label maker. D. Passive IDs only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Intrusion prevention system. An IPS sits in line and can block traffic that matches malicious patterns or behavior. A passive IDs alerts only, while asset registers and labels do not block traffic. Question 61. Which platform gives a regional clinic broader endpoint and telemetry correlation beyond traditional EDR? A. Plain text inventory. B. Extended detection and response. C. Unmanaged switch. D. A local only calculator app. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Extended detection and response. XDR correlates telemetry across multiple security layers to improve detection and response. Inventory text, local utilities, and unmanaged switches do not provide cross-layer security analytics. Question 62. How should a payment processor secure company phones that access business email? A. Store passwords in contact names. B. Share one phone for all employees. C. Let users disable all lock screens. D. Use mobile device management to enforce encryption, screen lock, and remote wipe. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Use mobile device management to enforce encryption, screen lock, and remote wipe. MDM allows centralized enforcement of mobile security settings. And question 63. For personally owned devices at a school district, which approach separates corporate data from personal data? A. Containerization or managed work profile. B. Local admin rights for every user. C. Public file sharing. D. Disabling device encryption. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Containerization or managed work profile. Containerization keeps business data managed and separable from personal content. Public sharing, no encryption, and broad administrator rights increase data exposure. Question 64. Which wireless configuration best supports enterprise user authentication at a logistics company? A. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X authentication. B. WEP for compatibility. C. Open Wisconsin file with no encryption. D. Share WPA password posted publicly. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X authentication. WPA3 Enterprise with 8021X provides stronger encryption and individual authentication. Open networks, public shared passwords, and WEP are weak or obsolete. Question 65. Before deploying new laptops, which step helps a cloud startup maintain consistent security settings? A. Disable automatic updates forever. B. Apply a secure baseline image and verify compliance. C. Let each user choose security settings randomly. D. Remove endpoint protection. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Apply a secure baseline image and verify compliance. A baseline image standardizes approved configuration and reduces configuration drift. Random settings, disabled updates, and removed protection create inconsistent and vulnerable endpoints. Question 66. Which method safely analyzes a suspicious attachment received by a manufacturing plant? A. Disable antivirus before testing. B. Forward it to all employees. C. Open it on a production domain controller. D. Open it in a sandboxed analysis environment. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Open it in a sandboxed analysis environment. Sandboxing isolates execution so analysts can observe behavior with reduced risk to production systems. Production execution, broad forwarding, and disabled defenses can spread malware. Question 67. How can a legal office detect related events across firewalls, endpoints, and identity logs? A. Delete older identity logs. B. Rely on one user's memory. C. Use only handwritten notes. D. The answer is D. Use SIEM correlation rules. A. SIEM centralizes and correlates logs to identify patterns that individual tools may miss. Manual notes, deleted logs, and memory cannot reliably correlate distributed events. Question 68. Which automation helps a managed service provider respond consistently when phishing is reported? A. A public spreadsheet of user passwords. B. A SOAR playbook that enriches, quarantines, and opens an investigation ticket. C. A manual process stored only in one person's inbox. D. A disabled mail gateway. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. A SOAR playbook that enriches, quarantines, and opens an investigation ticket. SOAR playbooks automate repeatable response steps and reduce delay during common incidents. Unstructured manual processes, disabled gateways, and exposed passwords undermine response quality. Question 69. How should a retail chain limit standing administrator access to critical systems? A. Privileged access management with just-in-time elevation. B. A shared root password. C. Permanent domain admin rights for every technician. D. No approval for privileged sessions. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Privileged access management with just-in-time elevation. PAM and just-in-time access reduce the time and scope of privileged exposure. Permanent broad rights, shared passwords, and no approval weaken accountability and control. Question 70. Which identity approach lets a city agency use one trusted login across multiple cloud applications? A. Local accounts in every app with different owners. B. Federated single sign-on. C. Anonymous access to all apps. D. Plain text password sharing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Federated single sign-on. Federated SSO allows applications to trust a central identity provider for authentication. Separate and managed accounts, anonymous access, and password sharing reduce control and visibility. Question 71. A push-based MFA system at a research lab is being abused with repeated prompts. Which improvement helps? A. Turn off MFA for all users. B. Make passwords shorter. C. Tell users to approve every prompt. D. Number matching or phishing resistant MFA. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Number matching or phishing resistant MFA. Number matching and phishing resistant methods reduce accidental approvals and push fatigue risk. Disabling MFA, approving every prompt, and shorter passwords weaken authentication. Question 72. When an employee leaves an insurance firm, which EM process must happen quickly? A. Forward credentials to the new hire. B. Increase the user's privileges. C. Deprovision accounts and revoke active sessions. D. Keep VPN access active indefinitely. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Deprovision accounts and revoke active sessions. Timely deprovisioning prevents former users from accessing systems after separation. More privileges, credential sharing, and indefinite access create avoidable risk. Question 73. Which log management practice helps a hospital network support investigations and compliance? A. Store logs only in volatile memory. B. Delete logs before incidents are reviewed. C. Allow anyone to edit logs. D. Define retention periods and protect logs from unauthorized modification. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Define retention periods and protect logs from unauthorized modification. Retention and integrity controls preserve evidence and make investigation timelines more reliable. Editable, volatile, or prematurely deleted logs weaken accountability and compliance. Question 74. During incident response at a university department, which step focuses on stopping further damage after detection? A. Marketing review. B. Containment. C. Routine onboarding. D. Procurement. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Containment. Containment isolates affected accounts, hosts, or network paths to limit the incident's spread. Procurement, marketing, and onboarding are business activities outside the immediate incident control phase. Question 75. Which practice preserves evidence integrity when a financial services team collects a laptop for forensics? A. Let multiple people use the laptop casually. B. Store evidence with no labels. C. Wipe the drive before imaging. D. Maintain chain of custody documentation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Maintain chain of custody documentation. Chain of custody records who handled evidence, when it was handled, and how it was protected. Casual use, wiping, and unlabeled storage undermine evidence reliability. Question 76. After restoring service, what should a remote sales group perform to prevent the same incident from recurring? A. Root cause analysis. B. Delete lessons learned notes. C. Ignore the original weakness. D. Cancel all future testing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Root cause analysis. Root cause analysis identifies the underlying issue and informs corrective action. Ignoring weaknesses, deleting notes, and canceling tests make recurrence more likely. Question 77. Which activity best describes threat hunting at a data analytics unit? A. Turning off all alerts. B. Approving every firewall change without review. C. Waiting only for users to complain. D. Proactively searching telemetry for signs of compromise based on a hypothesis. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Proactively searching telemetry for signs of compromise based on a hypothesis. Threat hunting is proactive and hypothesis-driven rather than only alert-driven. Passive waiting, disabled alerts, and unreviewed changes reduce detection capability. Question 78. Which backup strategy improves a software company's ransomware resilience? A. Maintain offline or immutable backups tested through restoration. B. Store backups on the infected server only. C. Keep the only backup mounted to every workstation. D. Never test restores. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Maintain offline or immutable backups tested through restoration. Immutable or offline backups resist alteration by malware and restore test. Question 79. If a call center can lose at most 15 minutes of data, which metric is being defined? A. Mean time to repair. B. Mean time between failures. C. Annualized rate of occurrence. D. Recovery point objective. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Recovery point objective. RPO defines the maximum acceptable amount of data loss measured in time. MTBF, MTTR, and RO describe reliability, repair time, and likelihood rather than data loss tolerance. Question 80. Which recovery site should a distribution warehouse choose when it needs near immediate failover with running infrastructure? A. Empty office suite. B. Hot site. C. Cold site. D. Unpowered storage closet. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Hot site. A hot site has systems and connectivity ready for rapid failover. Cold or empty locations require significant setup and cannot provide near immediate recovery. Question 81. Why would a regional clinic place multiple web servers behind a load balancer? A. To distribute traffic and improve service availability. B. To remove the need for patching. C. To make passwords optional. D. To store encryption keys and cookies. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. To distribute traffic and improve service availability. Load balancing spreads requests and can route around failed servers. Patching, authentication, and key management remain necessary regardless of load balancing. Question 82. Which power control helps a payment processor handle short utility outages for network equipment? A. Expired TLS certificate. B. Open wireless network. C. Uninterruptible power supply. D. Flat LAN design. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Uninterruptible power supply. A. UPS supplies temporary power and can bridge short outages or allow graceful shutdown. Open Wisconsin PHY, flat VLANs, and expired certificates do not provide electrical continuity. Question 83. How should a school district secure infrastructure as code templates before deployment? A. Disable version control. B. Hardcode secrets in every template. C. Scan templates for misconfigurations and require code review. D. Deploy templates directly from personal laptops without review. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Scan templates for misconfigurations and require code review. EX scanning and review catch insecure settings before they become live infrastructure. Unreviewed deployments, hard-coded secrets, and no version control increase cloud risk. Question 84. Which step reduces risk from vulnerable container images in a logistics company's registry? A. Ignore image agent source. B. Run every container as privileged by default. C. Store secrets in image layers. D. Scan images and rebuild from trusted base images. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Scan images and rebuild from trusted base images. Image scanning and trusted rebuilds help remove known vulnerabilities and unsafe components. Privileged containers, ignored provenance, and secrets in layers increase compromise impact. Question 85. In a public cloud deployment, which statement about shared responsibility is accurate for a cloud startup? A. No one is responsible for identity controls. B. The provider handles every customer password. C. The provider secures the underlying cloud, while the customer secures configured workloads and data. D. The customer maintains the provider's physical data center. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. The provider secures the underlying cloud, while the customer secures configured workloads and data. Shared responsibility divides duties between the cloud provider and the customer based on service model. Passwords, physical facilities, and identity controls cannot be ignored or assigned incorrectly. Question 86. Which remote access design gives a manufacturing plant stronger access control than exposing admin ports to the internet? A. Disabled logging for remote sessions. B. Use a VPN or zero trust access broker with MFA. C. Publish SSH private keys. D. Expose RDP to any source. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Use a VPN or zero trust access broker with MFA. Controlled remote access with strong authentication reduces exposure of administrative services. Open admin ports, exposed keys, and disabled logs increase the chance and impact of compromise. Question 87. Which classification should a legal office apply to payroll data before choosing safeguards? A. Discarded test data with no controls. B. Public marketing content. C. Sensitive or confidential. D. Anonymous weather data. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Sensitive or confidential. Payroll records contain personal and financial information that requires stronger protection. Public, discarded, or anonymous labels understate the sensitivity of payroll data. Question 88. How should a managed service provider protect database files stored on cloud volumes? A. Use guest accounts for database administrators. B. Store all files world readable. C. Disable access logs. D. Use encryption at rest with controlled key access. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Use encryption at rest with controlled key access. Encryption at rest protects stored data if media or snapshots are exposed, while key access controls limit use. World readable files, no logs, and guest administration weaken confidentiality and accountability. Question 89. Which key management practice is strongest for retail chains' high-value signing keys? A. Place keys in public code repositories. B. Reuse one key forever. C. Store and manage keys in an HSM with rotation procedures. D. Email private keys to administrators. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Store and manage keys in an HSM with rotation procedures. An HSM helps protect private keys from extraction and supports controlled cryptographic operations. A mailing, never rotating, or publishing keys destroys the trust those keys provide. Question 90. Which analysis helps a city agency identify critical processes and acceptable downtime? A. Business impact analysis. B. Packet fragmentation test. C. Ward driving survey. D. Password reuse check only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Business impact analysis. ABA maps business processes to impact, recovery priorities, and downtime tolerance. Wireless surveys, fragmentation tests, and password checks do not define business recovery priorities. Question 91. Which document should a research lab maintain to track identified risks, owners, likelihood, impact, and treatment plans? A. Wallpaper policy. B. Risk register. C. Cable crimper. D. DHCP lease file only. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. Risk register. A risk register documents risk details and supports ongoing management and accountability. Hardware tools, lease files, and cosmetic policies do not track organizational risk treatment. Question 92. Which risk strategy is used when an insurance firm buys cyber insurance for certain financial losses? A. Risk acceptance only. B. Risk avoidance by deleting all systems. C. Risk transference. D. Risk ignoring. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Risk transference. Insurance transfers part of the financial impact to another party under defined conditions. Acceptance keeps the risk. Avoidance eliminates the activity. And ignoring is not a valid management strategy. Question 93. After remediation, a hospital network still has a small remaining exposure approved by leadership. What is this called? A. Zero risk. B. False encryption. C. Broadcast storm. D. Residual risk. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Residual risk. Residual risk is the risk that remains after controls or treatments are applied. Zero risk is unrealistic. False encryption is not a standard risk term. And broadcast storm is a network condition. Question 94. Which due diligence item should a university department request from a vendor that will host sensitive data? A. Security questionnaire, audit report, and data handling commitments. B. A shared administrator password. C. Permission to bypass contractual review. D. A promise to avoid all documentation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Security questionnaire, audit report, and data handling commitments. Vendor due diligence evaluates whether the third party can protect data and meet obligations. No documentation, shared credentials, and bypassed review increase third party risk. Question 95. Which agreement defines expected uptime and response targets for a financial services team's managed security provider? A. Personal text message. B. Password hint list. C. Open guest Wi-Fi policy. D. Service level agreement. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Service level agreement, and SLA documents measurable service expectations such as uptime, response time, and escalation commitments. Informal messages, Wi-Fi policies, and password hints do not establish service performance terms. Question 96. Before sharing proprietary designs with a consultant, which document should a remote sales group require? A. Non-disclosure agreement. B. Public press release. C. Default router password list. D. Open source license for all data. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is A. Non-disclosure agreement. An NDA creates confidentiality obligations for information shared with the consultant. Press releases, broad open licensing, and password lists do not protect proprietary information. Question 97. Which contract clause helps a data analytics unit verify a vendor's security controls over time? A. No logging requirement. B. Unlimited anonymous access. C. Right to audit. D. Permanent waiver of review. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Right to audit. A right to audit clause allows the organization to assess or verify vendor controls according to the agreement. Anonymous access, no logs, and review waivers reduce oversight. Question 98. How should a software company reduce privacy risk when collecting customer data? A. Store data forever without review. B. Collect every possible field just in case. C. Collect only the data needed for a defined business purpose. D. Publish customer records for testing. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is C. Collect only the data needed for a defined business purpose. Data minimization limits exposure by reducing unnecessary collection and retention. Over-collection, indefinite storage, and public testing data increase privacy and compliance risk. Question 99. Which assessment is performed by an independent party to evaluate a call center's controls? A. Unplanned production reboot. B. External audit. C. Uncontrolled self-editing of logs. D. Casual hallway conversation. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is B. External audit. An external audit uses an independent reviewer to assess control design or operation. Self-edited logs, informal conversations, and reboots are not independent control assessments. Question 100. Which training outcome is most useful after a distribution warehouse runs a phishing simulation? A. Managers disable security reporting. B. Employees learn to approve unknown MFA prompts. C. Users store passwords in email drafts. D. Employees recognize suspicious messages and report them through the approved channel. Take a moment to choose your answer. The answer is D. Employees recognize suspicious messages and report them through the approved channel. Awareness training should improve recognition and reporting of social engineering attempts, approving prompts, storing passwords in drafts, and disabling reporting undermine security culture. Thank you for watching. For professional exam preparation, tutoring, and study guides, scan the QR code or use the contact information shown on screen.